Today I want to talk about some start times and, today I want to talk about some kickoff times and networks and what games are going to be on them. And all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You got to help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, I want to talk about some kickoff times and networks for some of the marquee games on the non-conference schedule. And we got our first taste of these last week when Fox announced that, yes, they are going to kick off the season with Ohio State versus Minnesota. And then we get the game that many of us are looking forward to, Ohio State versus Oregon in that big noon kickoff window. And I want to talk a little bit about kickoff times and why some fans are still pissed about the 11 a.m. kickoff time for those of us in Central Time Zone and like 9 a.m. in the Pacific Time Zone, but noon Eastern. But for that, let's get into the times, right? So Texas, Arkansas, or I should say Arkansas versus Texas in Fayetteville is kicking off September 11th at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on ESPN, the Barbecue Bowl, baby. Bevo versus the Hogs. Bring your grilling utensils. I'm excited for this. Like, all jokes aside, I believe that Sam Pittman's Arkansas is a 6-win team if they play in the SEC East. It's that simple. And they got robbed of a win against Auburn because we all know that Bo Nix took a knee and or fumbled, depending on how you want to look at it, but it should have been Arkansas's win in that game. Also in there, it's year one for Steve Sarkisian with a brand new quarterback, brand new offense, brand new defense, and Texas, low-key, running a gauntlet in year one. I've been loud about this for the better part of 6 months, and I think people are finally starting to hear it. Texas opens the season with Arkansas, Louisiana, and Rice. I already told you, Arkansas is a good football team. They play outstanding defense. Matter of fact, they own the name, image, and likeness of Matt Corral through 6 interceptions against Arkansas last time they played. Which is why when people give me smoke about my QB power rankings, I'm like, do you realize you're capable for a minute through 6 interceptions in one game? Jayden Daniels has thrown 3 interceptions in 2 years, and you're capable for Matt Corral 6 interceptions in one game? Come on, man. Let's go. Like, before you start coming at me about Matt Corral, get the name, image, and likeness rights back to his name, all right? Let's start there with the Rebels, all right? They're going to be a decent football team. I don't think they're going to be better than Arkansas. They lose a lot. Kenny Yeboah is gone. Elijah Moore was one of the best wide receivers in football last year, and you're really going to depend on Jerrion Ealy, but that's Ole Miss. Arkansas, once they settle on the quarterback, probably going to be KJ Jefferson, what it's looking like, though Malik Hornsby might be able to show the goods in training camp. They got dudes, right? They got dudes at wideout. They got dudes at Jalen Catalon is my favorite box safety, and he's really like a hybrid linebacker. Like, this is the kind of dude that Gary Patterson makes into a first-round draft pick, and I think, yes, Barry Odom is going to do the same with Jalen Catalon at Arkansas. They also got A.J. Green, Super Saiyan Green. I love that dude at tailback for them. And Kendall Browse knows how to run that veer and shoot offense that they do so well. Sam Pittman, one of my favorite coaches. I really want to get him on the number 1 ranked show. I have asked for him on the number 1 ranked show. Let's continue to send good vibes that way to try to get Sam Pittman to agree to come on the number 1 ranked show. I don't think it much would make me happier in as far as the SEC right now. I really love hearing that guy talk. All right, Texas again. They got Rice, who people are like, RJ, are you really out here telling us that Rice is going to give Texas the business? Let me put it this way. Marshall was undefeated heading into their game against Rice. And Rice put an end to that, a severe end to that. Beat them 20-0, all right? They, like everybody else, get people back. I'm not saying that Texas is going to lose that game. I'm saying it's trap game, right? That is the other point. Louisiana is not a trap game for Texas. It is a real game for Texas. They returned 98% of their production from last year, and they get everybody back on defense, right? To say nothing to Levi Lewis at quarterback. Billy Napier was one of the hottest coaching names in football last year. He put together another year like he did last year. He's going to get a Power 5 job that he absolutely wants. I mean, you got to have some moxie to turn down Auburn and Tennessee. Like, I wonder what job he's actually waiting to open up, quite honestly. And it might be Louisiana State, depending on how Ed Orgeron goes this year. And I'll have more to say about that on the number 1 ranked show on Monday. Also, talk with Clay Helton at USC on the number 1 ranked show on Monday. So be sure to tune in for that. So Texas has, again, Arkansas, Louisiana, Rice. Steve Sarkisian is putting in a new offense. You got Casey Thompson or Hudson Card, depending on who you like, at quarterback. The offense ought to run through Bijan Robinson, but they got dudes, Jake Smith, Jordan Whittington, Joshua Moore, you understand. And then defensively, I'm a big Vernon Broughton fan. I'm a big Alfred Collins fan. I think that they're going to be okay at linebacker, though they lost Joseph Asai, who was an All-American, and Juwan Mitchell to the portal. It's still Texas, and they can still recruit, all right? Now, other game that we know kick off, right, is Clemson versus Georgia, which is 7:30 Eastern Standard Time in Charlotte on ABC. This ought to be a top 5 matchup and one that I've been looking forward to for the better part of 2 years because I've known what those teams were going to be like going into 2021. Both of them have national title aspirations. Both of them ought to be ranked inside the top 5 in every poll that you trust, because if they're not in the top 5 of every poll you trust, I'm going to ask why, but I can understand how you might be out on Georgia, maybe just a little bit, just looking at how they have dealt with injuries and guys coming in and leaving in the portal. But I still think that Kirby Smart's defense is Kirby Smart's defense. You return a capable quarterback in JT Daniels. And then Clemson, DJ Uiagalelei, we expect him to have Justin Ross healthy, ready to go. They're going to break in Lynn J. Dixon in the backfield. We ought to see some Will Shipley, too. That's going to be fun. And then Brent Venables' defense remains Brent Venables' defense, right? So you get to see DJ Uiagalelei versus JT Daniels again, just like old times for them. 2 guys went head up, St. John Bosco at Mater Dei in California. Also, just going to circle this right quick, Pac-12. Those are 2 of your kids, okay? Those are 2 of the best players in the country, and both of them went across the country to play football. Now, SC ought to get some credit because JT Daniels originally signed and played, blew out his ACL, and then went into the transfer portal when Keaton Slovis became the starter. But Uiagalelei wasn't really interested in SC, right? It looked like it was going to be Oregon or Clemson, and that dude grew up loving, like me, like every college football fan, Jeremiah Masoli. He's an absolute dude. Absolute dude. And not JT Dan, DJ Uiagalelei is the most tooly quarterback that we've seen in a very long time. 6'5", a cannon for an arm. He's got a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Can't wait to see this dude run the offense in full. The 2 times he got to start last year, we know what he did. He went to work on Boston College, brought Clemson down from 18 to win that game in a game where Travis Etienne fumbled the ball on the goal line, couldn't run the ball for anything, even though he caught for like 137 yards. And Uiagalelei got to start against Notre Dame and acquitted himself so well. I mean, they lost that game in OT, but like, it wasn't him, dog. Like, he went for like 400 against that Notre Dame defense. And we all know what Kyle Hamilton was supposed to be over there, and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah was the Butkus Award winner. It ain't like it was a nothing defense. So we're going to get to see him once again go against another great defense in Georgia. I'm excited for that game. Other games that got announced by ESPN and ABC, I want to make sure I get these right because, yo, man, Labor Day weekend is always fun, but Labor Day weekend, again, is especially fun this year. All right, so Alabama versus Miami kicks off September 4th at 2:30. That is the mid-afternoon game slot that everybody loves, but that TV does not, and I'll get into that in a second. We got Sunday night, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time, Notre Dame versus Florida State. That's going to be a lot of fun because they're breaking in new quarterbacks. You get to see Mackenzie Milton under the lights for the first time in a couple of years. His comeback story is one you're going to hear over and over again. They're going to break in a new quarterback at Notre Dame. We'll see who that ends up being. Might be Tyler Buchner. Might be Jack Cohen. Could be. Either way, they're handing the ball to Kyron Williams. That's a dude. Georgia versus Clemson I covered. And then Louisville versus Ole Miss on Labor Day at 7 o'clock. Get to see Lane Kiffin's offense versus Scott Satterfield's offense, Brian Brown's defense. That ought to be fun. I don't know that Louisville is going to be ranked. Ole Miss has been ranked in a couple of polls. I don't see it, but I'll go study it, and we'll check it out and see if they need to be there, because I'm going to do my post-spring top 25, which I'll probably do again just before or after training camp, depending on how things go, because the transfer portal and the signing classes have had some things to say, as well as injuries. But more than that, I'm excited that we know what we're going to be doing, and we get to set our schedules accordingly to what it is going to be for us come September. My God. All right. So to the point about 11 a.m. kickoffs or noon kickoffs or whatever, most people who go to games can't stand an early kickoff, because that means that their day starts at 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, because they got to get in the car, they got to load up the kids, they got to go get the tailgate set up, They get no time to tailgate, really, and then they got to be at the stadium. With a 2:30 kickoff, you get a little bit more time to sleep. You get a little bit more time to enjoy game day or big noon kickoff. I would appreciate if you enjoy big noon kickoff, among other things, right? And then everybody loves a 7 o'clock kickoff because you get the full day to actually be a college football fan. You don't have to just focus on your one game. You can actually sit there and watch everything, and then your game is the highlight marquee event of the night, and that just doesn't happen all that often. But the reason that you see like Ohio State and Oklahoma in particular playing it in that noon kickoff window is because that is a really, really large viewership window. Like, all the people yelling about it on Twitter are not the majority. The majority of people love that because they get up, they get in their sweats, they eat breakfast, they sit down in front of the game. Like, that's what it is. And I don't blame them for that because that's the best way, I think, today to enjoy a game. Like, you can go, but you're going to pay an arm and a leg to go. You're probably not going to get great seats. You're not going to have the benefit of your own instant replay, though they'll show it on the Jumbotron. You got a hassle to get in. You got a hassle to get out. You got a hassle to park. Whereas you could just park your butt on the couch, watch that game, and the next game, and the next game. And that's the other thing about the noon kickoff window. You want a big game in there because you want to keep that person on that network channel for the rest of the day. And the likelihood of you changing, according to our habits, is not a lot, right? It usually takes some big game for you to change the channel, and that's why that 2:30 mid-afternoon window is not as highly touted because our viewing habits have changed. And if you change your viewing habits en masse, guess what will happen, right? That noon kickoff window will change to whatever it is you change your habits to. It's just I don't see people are likely to do that because fewer people are going to games each year, and they're trying to come up with ways to incentivize people going to games. But with the television money being what it is, I don't see how you're going to be able to do that, especially when we get into these contract negotiations between the conferences here in just a couple of years. All right. I'm also on Twitch. For those of y'all that enjoy watching me play video games, I got the PS3 over here. I got NCAA 13. I got to figure out how to do the HDMI splitter and get the capture card going, and then we'll go make it do what it do, baby, because I'm excited about that. Like, I've been over there playing Destiny, but as soon as I get that hooked up, we'll run some Dynasty mode, and we'll see if we can't build out a schedule to where we get together, play video games, and chat about football. All right, that's it for me. Doses.